In your name, amen.
So like Moots, I teach kids. I was teaching second and third graders a couple of weeks ago. And the verse is about how your eye's a lamp to your body. And all these second graders are looking at me and third graders. And I give the old cliche thing to them. I say, you know what? When you let your light be something that's good, then Jesus is going to shine through you. And all those kids looked up at me and they smiled. And then I kicked into teacher mode and I said, you don't know what that really means, do you? And they look at me, they don't have a clue. Meaning we say a lot of things in church that sound good, we just don't really know what they mean, practically. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about something we say all the time. Our life's supposed to glorify God. But then when we get practical about what that means, we really don't know. We'll give some answer like going to church or something like that. I always want to get up here and be funny and light. I'm just not that kind of a teacher. I don't got jokes. I'm sorry. We're going through Ecclesiastes. And I spoke last time about a pretty heavy topic. I'm going to review it quickly. But we're in Ecclesiastes, and the whole point of this is how to enjoy your life. And you say, well, tell some more jokes and be a little funnier, and I'll enjoy my life better. But here's the deal. When life's going well, we already enjoy it. But life's a list of losses. And the reality is if you can't navigate the losses, the pain, the difficulty, you're not going to be able to enjoy your life. That's really the tools we need. So what I always use as the illustration is your life is a gift from God. That's what Ecclesiastes says. And I'm going to review this quickly, but it's like I give my grandchild a tricycle on Christmas morning. And this is the analogy where the tricycle represents life, like God gave us a gift, life, like I give a gift, it's a tricycle, and three things I want. I want my grandchild to actually enjoy the tricycle. So you've got this thing called life, and it's a gift from God, and the question we're asking every week is, are you enjoying it? Not in some hedonistic way, not in a selfish way, but he gave you this gift, are you enjoying it? And basically, my grandchild will enjoy the tricycle if he learns how to what? Ride it. He can enjoy looking at it. He can enjoy dragging it around. But you got to learn how to live this life. Number two, I'd want him to be thankful for it. And number three is he can't hit his sister with it. Meaning you can enjoy this life, but you can't use this life to hurt other people. Now, the book of Ecclesiastes is unique in the Bible because it's just life under the sun. And we're so used to hearing about heaven and the afterlife. And the book of Ecclesiastes doesn't talk about that much. It talks about your life under the sun right now. And then it uses this phrase, if we're enjoying our life, he calls it vanity. And it's not like it's vain or selfish like that. But basically, it's two things. The Hebrew word sabel, and it means this. It's substantial and it's transitory, means it's short. And whether you realize it or not, I try to give this illustration, tick-tock, tick-tock. You know, I became a pastor when I was in my 20s, and I would teach. And I'd talk about, your life's short. At the age I am now, I tell people I have 4 grandchildren, they're surprised. It seems like it's going really fast. And so what God says through Ecclesiastes is you better get busy. And this is the verse he uses all the time. I commend the enjoyment of life. For there's nothing better for a person in the sun than to eat, drink, and be glad. The joy will accompany them in the toil of the days of their life. God has given them under the sun. So because it's so short and it's so limiting, are you enjoying it? Now last week we got into something kind of heavy. And this is how the book breaks down. It's about God, you, and your life. Those are the 3 principles. And so it's man and life. Basically, what we saw the first week was simply this. Your life is very limiting in a lot of ways. And I don't want to belabor this. I'm only going to meet so many people of the 8 billion people on the planet. And I made a joke a couple of weeks ago. It's like, I'm going to go to Ireland for a week, hypothetically. How much of Ireland am I going to see in a week? I'll be honest with you, it's a great, big, beautiful world. How much of it I got to see in my lifetime? Not much. I mean, if I could, like Nightcrawler and the X-Men, just transport from place to place all over the place, that'd be awesome, but I can't do that. I can't fly. I can't live forever on this planet. So it's very limiting. And God says this, it's so limiting, but I hope you enjoy it. Then you have God in life. That's what I'm going to talk about this evening, but I talked about it last week, and it comes out of a passage in Ecclesiastes. So here's the heavy part. I'm going to give you an illustration and some handles. God says there's a time to be born and a time to what? A time to laugh and a time to mourn. And we read that thinking we make choices and we just decide what we're going to do with our life. But that's not what God's talking about. In fact, what he's saying is, I've designed your life. Now, when you read through the list, the time to be born, the time to party, the time to dance, the time to be happy, the time to build, I'm glad he designed those things. I like those things. But there's a negative one through there. And it's really hard to get our head around. God has designed our life with the pain and the hurt too. My name is Jeff. I have a new life in Christ, but I always share I struggle with anxiety, I struggle with control, and I've struggled with cynicism. It's that cynicism about God that can overcome me. And cliche answers just never worked on me. They just didn't. Usually cliche answers, as I found, came from preachers. And they're preaching, and like 8 people are amening me, and I'm thinking in my head, but what about that, what about that, what about that? And can you just be quiet? That's what I'm thinking. So I'll give you the big idea, and then I'm going to give you what is the key to this. This seems simple, but the big idea I want you to leave with it is God's the most important thing. So here's the thing. God in your life. Last week, God designed your life. So I'll tell you the story. I'll tell it quickly. Don't mean to be a downer, but this is real life. I oversee the counseling center here. I'm over region. I'm a pastor. I experience and hear sad stories. Had a colleague counseling a woman one time. She'd been raped. The story was she was at a parking garage, and the assailant came and was going to rape her. She saw another man over by parked cars out of the corner of her eye. Thought she'd be saved. Found out he was a lookout, and she was raped anyway. I tell the story. God designed her life. She'd come every week with my colleague, and she would tell the story. This is counseling. This isn't something that goes on in region necessarily. But he asked her one time, why do you share the story every time? And she said this, every time I share the story, I leave a little more of it here with you. Okay? That's what therapy is, but here's the reality. When you have horrific things like that, I know this isn't everyone in here, but when you have the rapes, when you have the abuse, when you have children when you have those stories, are you with me? And you have cliche answers at church, sometimes they don't do it. And the book of Ecclesiastes goes through it. And he finally says this, God, and this is what I shared last week, and then I'm going to get into this week. In this one verse, he says, basically, and it's kind of cut off there, but in your life, he has made everything beautiful in its time. You say, what is he saying there? Now get this. God is saying, although all you see is your life on this planet, get this, God sees it from the perspective of all eternity. So here's the best analogy I could give you. If you're a parent and you have a child you love, would you hurt them on purpose? Would you allow somebody else to hurt them? So in your mind, and this is just how I think, then how can God, who's in control of everything, allow that to happen to us? It's a legit question. Here's the only analogy I could give. What if your child is 4 and has cancer? And the doctor comes to you and says this, This is the treatment for the cancer. But this treatment is going to be unbelievably painful. And your child at 4 is not cognitively or emotionally mature enough to understand the concept of why you, the parent, would allow the doctor to inflict pain. Are you with me? Now, I don't have a story that graphic, but I've told you I went through a phase, and I don't want to exaggerate it. I hate when preachers exaggerate stories for effect. But I could not walk from 4 to 6 years old. I had something called Perthes disease. It was in this hip. You ever seen the movie Forrest Gump with that brace? I had that brace. My leg was short. My parents strapped that brace on me. It gave me a rash. It hurt. I went to school. I could not do the things other kids did. Now, I'm not going to make up a story like I had trauma or belabored, but I knew this. They put that thing on me and that thing hurt. And they didn't really let me cry about it a lot. Now, they weren't like abusive, but they said, this is for your own what? Good. All I can tell you is this. No matter what pain you have in your life, at one time in eternity future, it will be beautiful. Now hold on. In God's time. Do I get to know why it's beautiful in this life? No. Because we are children. And we do not see the entire plan of God. And we do not see all of eternity. And we do not see all of the plans. So what do we give people in counseling? What do I give you here? What do you hold on to? I have no magic answer. You say, this happened to me, it makes me mad. I got news for you. You tell me the story, I'm mad too. I don't leave going, oh, great God, woohoo. What do I hold on to? I hold on to this. There is a world beyond this life. And one day, I will have an experience with God. I don't get in this life. That's what Job got at the end of the book. And on that day, I will see it's beautiful in its what? Time. What you're holding on to is faith in God. That what doesn't make sense now, one day will be revealed to me. Does that make sense? If you try to have cliche answers, here's what people do all the time. And I don't mind it. Well, this happened, but something good came out of it in this life. You can hold on to that. But even what you see in this life isn't all of God's picture. This person died, and then at the funeral, somebody got saved. Hear that all the time. I'm glad that happened. But I'm glad for people to get saved. Not all of us had to, die prematurely. Are you with me? Sooner or later, does it make sense? Now you say, okay, God designed our life. So I'm going to talk about this tonight and finish up. Our life's supposed to glorify God. God designed your life, but your life's supposed to glorify God. Now, can I get an amen for that? What's that mean? Now, I'm going to go through it here. I'll give it to you. And it's really simple. We say it all the time. And it's one of the premier things in church. Your life is supposed to glorify God. I went to church, I read my Bible, and I didn't steal this week. Did it glorify God? You know what I'm saying? It's one of those really, really theological things we say. It's just like I'm telling the kids, Jesus needs to shine through your life. And the kid goes, yes, because Jesus is always the answer. But I go, how do you do that? And the kid's going to go, I don't know. What does it mean to glorify God? There's 2 words. I'll give you the first one. In the New Testament, doxa in Greek. It's from doxa, we get the word doxology. So if you ever sung a hymn at the end, some doxology, praising and glorifying God, it means honor, renown, and splendor. But in the Old Testament, it's the word kavod. Kavod. It has to do with weight. Weight. It has to do with matter, but not like substance. It's more along this line. What matters? So I'm going to give you a definition of glory. And you say, how do I enjoy my life? First of all, you have to recognize God's designed your life. But here's the big part. You have to realize that God matters more than anything else. And that is so hard for me. Because there's so many things in this life that at times matter to me more than God. Okay? But for your life to glorify God, it has to matter. Now, are you saying that nothing else matters? Nope. That's not what the Bible teaches. It's just God has to matter more. I'll give you the list here. So we'll get real. A lot of you are graduating tonight. Good job. Seriously. And I always say this. People say, does regen help? Not if you start, but if you finish. All right? What if sobriety matters to you more than anything? Meaning God doesn't matter most. Sobriety matters. Whatever that was. Sobriety from pride, sobriety from fear, sobriety from fentanyl, Adderall. It doesn't matter. God doesn't matter. It's just my sobriety matters. The reality is you will settle for just being sober and you'll find another addiction. If God doesn't matter most, if it's just sobriety, what was the best thing about Regen? I got sober. That's not the most important thing. I'll give you the next one, religion. I go to church. I attend. I'm spiritual. Listen, if religion matters most to you, you will grow to be self-righteous. And as you get older, it'll be ugly. I met a family member the other day at a funeral I went to. I love him, knew him my whole life. I do this at my church. 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 I believe this. I take a stand for this. C.S. Lewis said, I'd rather go to church with a prostitute than a self-righteous prig. What church means the most to me, you'll be self-righteous. That legalism will stink. You saying I shouldn't be involved in church? I'm saying God better matter what? More. I'll give you one, sex. You will lose your ability to be intimate. Should sex not matter to me? Hey, if you're married and you're enjoying it and, you can still do it, go for it. It matters. And if you can't get some medication, live as long as you can. Come on. But I'm going to tell you this. If it matters more than everything else and God doesn't matter more, you will succumb to the baser of instincts. Wealth. You will become a slave to manna. Are you telling me I shouldn't work hard? I shouldn't try to accumulate some money and some wealth? I'm not telling you it can't matter. I'm just telling you it can't matter more than who? Freedom. This is a big one for Americans. Fight for our liberty, our freedom. If it matters to you more than God, you'll become prideful in your independence. He gave you your freedom to serve, not your freedom to just do as you please. Here's a big one. We have a family ministry coming at church. I am glad. This sounds so spiritual. Family means more to me than anything. I could do that every week. My kids, my grandkids, my wife, it's family, it's priorities. I make them a priority. I'm spending time with them. I'm going to tell you this. If your family matters to you more than God, listen, you will crush them with your expectations. And they will crush you because you have unreasonable expectations. And you realize your children, when they get married, don't bring people into your family. They're going to start their own family. Okay? You'll crush them. This is what a family is. Yes, you will be here every Christmas. The in-laws don't matter. I'm just saying, you'll crush them. After that, success. If success matters to you more than anything in this world, you will be deceived in your assessment of people. And finally, fame. You will devolve into narcissism. Here's the biggest thing for Region is simply, God has designed your life. How can I enjoy it? There's no other way. Glorifying God means kavod. He is the most important thing. God, listen, I love abundant life, but abundant life is not my God. I love my family, but I will be of no help to my grandchildren if I don't love God more. When you love him more, you can enjoy all the things, but until he takes the rightful place, you won't. Was he some sort of narcissist? Nope. When you make him the most important thing, you'll have the life you can enjoy. Congratulations, graduates.